Speaking of roller coasters, you want to
Yeah.
talk about the economy?
Oh my
Uh,
gosh, help
what a
us.
segue that was. Well, we do the NFIB Optimism Index
Right.
that kind of tells everybody, how small business people are feeling about. We've got about 9 or 10 things that make up the Optimism Index, and
Hmm.
I think it's really significant and important, especially towards the end of the year, because it's sort of a crystal ball as to how they're feeling going into the next year. Because a lot of economists, look at the end of the year and say, well, you know, trying to look at the future, is things looking a little better or not? And
Hmm.
I hate to tell you, but this last one we did was not rosy. The optimism index actually dropped 2.1% or points, which is kind of significant. It's significant in this. It's a big drop in this particular survey. And the question, and I'm not an economist, but the question I always look at of the 9 or 10 things that we look at is, real simple. Are you expecting better business conditions over the next 6 months? And that went down 8 points.
Holy
So
cannolis.
yeah, I know. And for this particular survey, that's a pretty substantial drop in what they're feeling is going to happen in 2023. Um, it kind of inched up in September, October. I think we were seeing at least maybe a tiny bit of blue sky. Well, guess what? The clouds are back. This was not a very good survey, and you still have, and we've talked about this every time I've been on. We've still got 41% of our business owners out here that have jobs that they cannot fill. Um, you've got it somewhere around the 90% of them that have actually interviewed people for jobs that it doesn't work. They can't hire them, and so that's still a problem. And although if you want any kind of happy time out of this thing, the net percentage of owners that raised their average selling price actually decreased by 8 points. And you'd say, well, Brad, that's a really good thing. They're
For the
not raising
consumer.
prices. But still, there's 43% of them that are. And so that in itself is not going to provide enough pressure to start to bring the inflation down by a lot. I know it's kind of leveled off, and maybe that 8% drop has helped in leveling things off at least a little bit on the inflationary side. But this survey itself said that the number one problem still with small businesses right now is inflation, because they've got to raise their prices and they've got to do something about labor costs, getting labor, paying for labor. It's kind of a triple whammy out there,
It is.
and
And if you remember, people, small businesses are the heartbeat of our economy. And when they fail, we all fail. So we have to remember that they're there and that we need to go to them and keep them open. And I wish the restrictions on teenagers would lighten up a little bit, because I've got a couple of them in my family who want to work more than 2 hours after they get out of school. I mean, they want to work and they're pulling straight A's so they can fit in a 4 to 5
yep.
hour shift. But the government is restricting them at 15 so that they can't get a job within walking distance, because they can't work enough hours for them to be worthy of being an employee. I wish we'd do something about that. That would really help small business.
Well, anything that we can do that's going to help. I'm kind of optimistic up here. We started session last week, and
Right.
so the whole gang is back in town starting today. We were off yesterday, but the whole gang is back in town, and we've got 2 or 3 economic development bills that I'm kind of excited about, and they're bills that are targeted at entrepreneurs that are just opening up their businesses, and it provides some incentives and things for those brand new entrepreneurs, because we know that small businesses between the first and the fifth year those are the rocky kind of the rocky time when you're trying to get your business plan up and
established.
You're established and adjusted. I doubt there's any small business that put together a business plan that after the first year doesn't have to make some tweaks in it. There's just no way. And so we got a few bills that are floating around up here that, as a matter of fact, we got one today I think I'm going to go testify on this afternoon that would be helpful.
Okay.
There's also a couple things, Fawn, that I'm excited about. A couple of those economic development bills have an Office of Entrepreneurship under the Department of Economic Development, and I've been on this for years. Why can't we have one person or a couple of people that are responsible for taking calls from small business people about anything state government, and it's a one-stop shop. It's a one number that they can call, and they don't get bounced around the whole phone system in Jefferson City trying to get an answer to a very simple question, whether it be Department of Agriculture, DNR, whether it's revenue, whatever it is. They can go to one number, and those people can then get them to the right person that they need to talk to. That doesn't seem like such a big thing, but we've had trouble trying to get that kind of a thing done in Missouri, and I'm really kind of optimistic that maybe we're going to get that done this session.
Red tape is real. If we run out of time, there are a few more things I'd like to talk about, but we'll have Brad back in the near future. He's Missouri State Director of the National Federation of I can't even think of what you're called now. NFIB.
National Federation of Independent Business.
Oh, okay. Did I just say that and then forgot what I said? I'm seriously on 2 hours of sleep. All right.
It was almost there.
It was almost there. It was on the tip of my tongue, and then I bit my tongue. All right. Optimism is declining, but it doesn't have to be that way because it does seem like people want to get out and get to busy buying, but when eggs are $11, a dozen, we have priorities now that have changed a little bit as consumers. So, Brad, we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, Fawn. I love being on with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye. Brad Jones, NFIB. You can always get a hold of him. Go to NFIB MO or Missouri NFIB. Look him up. You'll